All right, Adam Schefter, let's run the hurry up. Let's start with things in New York. John Harbaugh and the Giants. What's going on with them?
All right, Greeny, he's making sweeping changes in the organization. He met with coaches yesterday. Let most of the defensive coaches know they won't be back. Special teams coordinator won't be back, and even dismissed their former assistant GM who's been with the organization for almost 30 years. Kevin Abrams essentially no longer will be with the organization. John Harbaugh coming in and not standing for the status quo. He is shaking up that organization, and you're going to continue to see more changes made across the organization, including to the training staff. He's going to bring his own training staff there to revamp things in New York.
Look, I mean, I never celebrate anyone losing their jobs, but I think it was time for a complete reset with the Giants, and he seems like the kind of person who could do it. I want to sell you two guys on something. I brought this up 2 days ago. We did a little note on it yesterday. Look at the Patriots. Look at the turnaround they've had. They had a really good-looking young quarterback who had played one season where he had some ups and some downs. They had some other talent. They went out and they hired an established veteran coach who knew about winning, and here they are in the championship game. The Giants hired John Harbaugh. They got some pretty good talent. And could you put up the numbers on Jackson Dart's rookie season and Drake May's rookie season? Those are eerily similar. Dart's numbers and May's numbers as rookies are stunningly identical. If anything, Dart's are slightly better. So that leads me to ask the question, could the New York Giants be next year's New England Patriots?
New England's playing for the AFC Championship game on Sunday. I'm not ready to say that they can make that type of leap, but I do believe that they can be a playoff football team, Greeny. I've said this. Now, one of the reasons why, or parts of the reasons why New England is they got Josh McDaniels. He's one of the best play callers in the last 20 years in the NFL. So can John Harbaugh bring in a person like that for Jackson Dart? Two, they brought in Stephon Diggs, and Steph has been unbelievable for Drake May. Now, Malik Neighbors is sensational, but Steph's veteran and presence and the experience, I think, has paid off. So if you can get those two, at least parts there, yeah, I think you're going to see a huge jump from Jackson Dart. And I do believe that this team in New York is closer to relevancy than the public perception.
I don't disagree. I think because you have Harbaugh, you give yourself that opportunity. And even the moves that he's made, it's him fixing the organizational structure. That was the question that, when he first was hired, we talked about last week. Like, what is that structure going to be like? Because if it stays as is, I'm skeptical of it. Well, now you bring Harbaugh in and you allow him to do the thing that he's great at, which is bringing order and process to the organization, which will allow you to get the most out of that very talented, young, inexperienced, but talented roster.
This is why it took them as long as it did to work out the contract, because he wanted to have the control to do whatever he wanted, because he recognized and believed that this organization had been in disrepair and it was time to turn it over. Yeah. That's what he's doing right now.
Okay, so we'll see who he gets as his offensive coordinator. That's obviously a big one. Back to running the hurry up. Shefty, we've got a situation in San Francisco.
John Lynch essentially ended the San Francisco career of Brandon Ayuk yesterday, saying that he will not be back with the team. The only question now is, do they trade him? Do they release him? And I would think that they'll find a trade partner with all the teams in the league that need wide receiver help. I'm sure they'll have to eat some of the contract. But Brandon Ayuk, that whole drama from a couple of summers ago, that turned out to be one of the worst contracts in franchise history. They'll move on from it this offseason. He has played his last snap for the 49ers.
Okay, so that's obviously a terrible situation. Let's move on to the last one, because I think this is maybe the most interesting. The Steelers coaching search. They haven't had to do one in 20 years. What's going on?
We have always seen the Pittsburgh Steelers hire young, defensive-minded coaches. And yesterday, they had an older, offensive-minded head coach, Mike McCarthy, who's from Pittsburgh, who would love nothing more than to go back and coach the Pittsburgh Steelers. And while he does not fit the profile of any recent head coach that they've hired, he does qualify and he does bring certain attributes that would help this organization. And he is in play for the head coaching job. I'm not saying he's going to get it, but he's definitely a strong candidate. And here's the thing with the Pittsburgh Steelers that you have to remember. Right now, they are in something of quarterback purgatory. They're in a division with Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow in a year where they don't have a high draft pick. They're not drafting one there that they could play. There aren't a lot of free agent quarterbacks available, not a lot you could trade. What are you doing? So if you hire Mike McCarthy, maybe, just maybe, they've been open to bringing back Aaron Rodgers. Maybe that enhances the chances that they can have a reunion between Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy.
You're not the only one thinking that way. McCarthy got this endorsement from former Steeler quarterback Big Ben Roethlisberger for the exact same reason. Listen.
Mike McCarthy is an offensive-minded veteran coach, guy that's been there, done that. He has Pittsburgh ties, so he understands the Steeler way and what it is to be a Steeler and understands the Rooney family and how it works and all that kind of stuff. Downside to potentially that is how long would he keep coaching for? The potential positive side to him coming in here would be the potential of Aaron Rodgers coming back, right? They have a relationship together. Now, I don't know what the relationship is, but sure. I assume that it's good enough. They won a Super Bowl together.
They did win that Super Bowl together. Shefty, and you were saying this morning, because I think there was a perception at the time that Rodgers got McCarthy fired in Green Bay. I have no inside knowledge on that one way or the other, but you were saying they have a good
I believe
relationship.
There's a respect there between the two men, and I believe that they would be open to working with one another. Now, look, here's the deal. If you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, you can't hire Mike McCarthy because you think it's going to bring back Aaron Rodgers. You're hiring Mike McCarthy because you believe in the coach he is and you believe in the program he'll implement. One of the ancillary benefits of that could be that if Aaron Rodgers decides to return, that he'd have a head coach who he knows the system, that he's comfortable with, but you're not hiring him to bring back Aaron Rodgers. But it could be a side benefit of doing that.
No, this is a franchise that usually looks 20 years into the future. You wouldn't be making a decision based on
But you can't do that right now. You can't do that right now.
No, but I'm talking about hiring a coach that you believe you're going to have there and is going to take you through a generation. That's what they do with their coaches, not someone who's going to bring back a 43-year-old quarterback.
But they need somebody that can help get them to the next quarterback while these other teams in the division have a quarterback. And so Mike McCarthy might decide he might fit that bill.
Hiring Mike McCarthy and bringing Aaron back would be the worst decision Pittsburgh could make.
The worst?
The worst.
The worst.
And that's not an indictment on each of them or either of them individually. Mike McCarthy's a really good coach. Obviously, Aaron, one of the all-time greats. What are we doing, Pittsburgh? To hire Mike McCarthy and bring Aaron back is going to place you quite literally in the same position you're in right now in January of 2027. I said this when they made the moves last year. They're in the worst possible place. You just reiterated that, Shefty, because they're going to be good enough to win 9 or 10 games, and they're not going to be bad enough to finally get a quarterback. That would be a disastrous thing to do for your future.
Yeah, it's absolutely more of the same. I mean, but you got to think about it from the Pittsburgh Steelers' perspective. And I'm not saying it's the right thing to do because it does seem like a lateral move for a lot of reasons. I would call it a bridge head coach is what it feels like. When you've heard the term bridge quarterback, it's like at least 62 years old. He's not going to coach for 20 years. So 5 to 10 years is your version of a bridge number one. So you're not going to get that. He's not the young defensive guy that like they talk about. That's been their process. It's not going to happen. But the fear is that they either make this decision wrong or the candidates they do see out there don't live up to that standard, and now they're stuck as an organization in a place where they've never been before.
Or where they've been for 3 years now, it feels like. Aaron's going to play good enough football where you're going to get 9 wins, 10 wins. You're going to be picking 20. Mike McCarthy's a good enough coach that you're going to be relevant in every single game and you're going to compete in every game. But you're going to be in the same place. You're willingly choosing to just cycle through the same process.
So who is that? I mean, if you're looking for a quarterback, Shefty, at this point, what kind of options do you have?
Well, Malik Willis is going to be a free agent quarterback. But again, we've got a whole pack of brain trust in Miami. They would figure to be in play for him.
He can't play for everybody.
Okay? Right. And you've got Kyler Murray, who's going to be on the trade market, Tua Tagovailoa, who's going to be on the trade market.
Seems excited at this table.
It gets cold in Pittsburgh. I'm from there.
You could bring Justin Fields back if you want. They actually wanted him back. There are worse options right now than Justin Fields.
Well, so that maybe that in and of itself tells you everything.